Hi everybody, I'm Susie the Sea Witch, and welcome to my channel. Today is a different kind of video for me. One that I was expecting to make a little bit down the road, but I think actually is probably appropriate right now, at least for a first parter. I'm going to start off by saying Black Lives Matter. Of course they do. And I don't understand how anybody doesn't see that. The second is about witches and politics and what we can do in the political arena. Being a witch has always been political, even if as a witch you may not choose to be political. Other people will see it as political. It's always been that way. When people were being killed as witches, whether they were or not, it wasn't because of what religion they were. It was because of power. It was because of politics. And when witches are seen as having power, it definitely becomes more political. Now there's a great video all about the politics of witchcraft by Philosophy Tube, which I'm going to link down below, or as he says sometimes, the doobly-doo. But in the meantime, what we have right now is a president that is actively stirring a racist divide in our country. As witches, we have one more option that isn't necessarily available to everyone else. Of course, there's always protesting and donating money to appropriate causes. Pompberry over on YouTube has some really excellent things on her Instagram, so I'm going to link to that below, and so that you can see about donations. If you're looking for some place to protest, you're going to have to check Google or Twitter. Those are probably your best options to find a local protest near you. But the one thing that we have available that most people don't have is magic. What kind of spells can we do? Binding spells are spells that do not curse somebody, but they do inhibit malicious, evil, stupid behavior. So in my freezer, I have a Ziploc bag. In that Ziploc bag is a Cheeto, a photocopy of President Trump's signature, and snippets of things that he's said or publicized online. If he's doing a fundraising thing and he says, "I can't do this without you," then I take the "I can't do this" part and I add that to the Ziploc bag in the freezer, because I'm intending to freeze his negative actions. When he posts something really racist and stupid, which happens daily, I can't put all of those in my freezer because, quite frankly, I'd run out of room in my freezer. But I can take a selection of those and put them in the Ziploc bag to freeze his actions. And freezing is a very effective way to cast a spell. Freezing is a kind of binding spell that's very simple to do. There are other kind of binding spells, of course. Taking a poppet and literally binding it in twine. Not a big fan of poppets. I don't use them. Not saying you shouldn't. They're just not my thing. You'll find as you do more and more magic that there's some things that come more readily to your hand and some things that don't. And while it's nice to expand your horizons and try out those various things that don't necessarily come immediately and gently to your hand, for me it just works that the stuff that's more suited to my vibe works better for me, and magic is already work. Why not choose the path that works for me? But you don't know until you try. So you can try poppets. You can try putting Trump in your freezer. There's other kind of binding spells you can do. Anything that has the kind of binding methodology to it. Ziploc ties. Also, in California at least, it's mandatory to wear face masks in public when you're going to be within 6 feet of people, if you can't practice social distancing. There are, of course, exceptions. People under the age of 2, hearing impaired people, and people that work with them, because obviously you can't read lips if the lips are covered with a mask, unless somebody's wearing one of those clear masks or a face shield. Masks can make an excellent opportunity for a magical spell. You can write on the outside or the inside of your mask in sigils or in whatever language you prefer. Black Lives Matter. I can't breathe. Justice for all. Whatever slogan feels best for you. Every time you put it on and take it off, you'll be reminded of your magic and the power that you're putting into your magic. Also, the very act of breathing is very powerful magic. And if your spell is attuned to your mask, every time you breathe in and out through your mask, you're adding more power to your spell. Will spells alone change the world? Of course not. Though I've seen some pretty powerful things happen with magical spells. But we can do it in support of our other actions and in support with. Maybe you want to lend power to people that are protesting. Again, a mask spell is perfect for that. Every time you exhale, you can be sending them power. Witches are a form of artists. And art is a very powerful thing. Spells are a very powerful thing. Now you can do your magic or your art for light and fluffy reasons to make people feel better. There's nothing wrong with that. I think the most powerful form of magic that I personally can do, and I don't know if this will work for everybody or anybody else, or maybe you guys don't need it. Maybe it's just me. But the most powerful magic that I can do right now is listening. I think that 90% of all my magical work is listening. Dropped in open attention and just listen. Listen without judgment. Listen, and this is the hardest part, without thinking about what you're going to say in response. Just give your full attention to listening what other people are telling you and go from there. So part of this is about recognizing that the craft is about politics, and I will be touching on that even more in the future. But until then, I will say, Black Lives Matter, and all cats are beautiful.